we are going to talk about why Filipinos are fluent in speaking in English. Good morning. It is another sunny day here in Makati City. I am Mads, and here with me is Sir John and Miss Serena, and we are the GSR team. So today we are going to talk about why Filipinos are fluent in speaking in English. But before we move on, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell for more updates.
Philippines is actually considered and recognized as top leading English-speaking country globally.
Yes, that's right. And in addition to that, though we all know that the national language of the Philippines is Filipino, and there are really a lot more different languages that we've been using here in the Philippines. But still, despite of that, majority of the population understands and speaks English very, very well. I believe that's basically because all of us are exposed to the heavy usage of English language. And I also believe that there are really a lot of factors how.
So today we are gonna go on to these other factors about why we speak English so fluently. So going back, as we date back to Filipino history, we will see that we're actually colonized by multiple nationalities. We've been exposed to Spanish, Japanese, and lastly, American cultures. So that played a big part on why we are so diverse here in the Philippines. But actually, as to add to that, the reason why English actually stayed as our medium is because the Americans actually introduced the American educational system for free here in the Philippines, and they brought a lot of teachers for free to teach Filipinos about our language.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in addition to that, as far as I remember, the period of the American colonization here in the Philippines lasted for, I think that's about 48 years. Yeah, so that's why one of the major influences that they brought in here in the Philippines is basically their language, which is English.
Yeah, that's correct.
So there are a lot of present factors why up until now, Filipinos are still good in speaking in English.
So I think we have one of those factors would be social media. Another would be television.
Yeah.
What else? Signages.
That's
So
right, yes.
I think one big observation that you can see is that Filipinos use the English alphabet everywhere. So even in speaking Tagalog or speaking Filipino, we use English letters to transcribe what we're
Yes.
saying.
So we have our own alphabet here in the Philippines, but also we use primarily English alphabets. And also, one of the factors actually is they've been using it in a lot of medium outlets like businesses, schools, in teaching, and other stuff as well.
Yes, that's right. In addition to that, as you mentioned earlier, social media platforms. We all know that Filipinos really love to use all types of social medias, like especially Facebook, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then the language that Facebook is using, almost all of the platforms are English.
Yeah.
Though, as far as I remember, Facebook has this type of setting where you could
Change
change the language into Filipino or Arabic or something like that. But still, even though we have that type of choice or option, we almost all of the Filipino
Somehow,
still stick in the English language.
It's actually somehow used as what do you call that? Generic language.
Yes, it's like what could you say? It is the medium of trade and commerce here in the Philippines. So actually, to add to that, a personal experience of mine was back in high school. I used to study in a school that had a lot of international students. So we had very diverse cultures. But the reason why they actually wanted to stay here and study here in the Philippines was because I think it helped enhance their English skills. So that would really be a big advantage to them as they go back home to their motherland because they
Well, that's actually intriguing because there's a lot of non-English speaking countries that are migrated here. They choose to study here in the Philippines because
Yeah.
we offer a lot of English classes in our top universities here in the Philippines.
yes.
Sorry, Mads, if you don't mind me asking, where did you graduate?
I graduated high school in CSI Makati.
Oh, I see. That's why. Okay. Actually, there are a lot of schools and universities that came into my mind when you told me about that educational. So there are a lot of universities where 99% of the students really speak English all the time. So some of these universities, well-known universities here in the Philippines, is like Ateneo de Manila University, and then we all know the La Salle Taft, right?
And once you graduate, you can still use English.
Yes,
If you apply to different kinds of job, you use English in interview,
Yeah, yes.
right?
And not just in the job. If you're planning to join into a business, whatever business is this, either small or big ones, really the English language will benefit you a lot.
So, actually, to add to that, what's beautiful about learning another language is that because of 2020, we know the pandemic happened. People are forced to stay at home. So, that is kind of like pushing us towards going into the internet where it is very diverse and globalized. So, learning English is actually a really big advantage for the Filipinos as we can finally reach globalized markets. So, higher currencies, better job opportunities if we decide to get employed by maybe a foreigner. Yeah. And in addition to that, another thing that other countries do in order to actually reap their benefits from the Philippines is through putting up BPOs here, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Way back in Cebu, when I was in Cebu rather, I worked in a BPO industry, a call center, as a call center agent. We actually don't speak really our dialect, but we tend to use English because it's required by the company to practice everyone to speak English.
Yes, of course, that's Steven. Once you join the BPO industry, you really have to learn the English language, right? Because that's what they usually use.
More like a basic communication.
Yes.
Yes, I actually have friends who work in BPOs where they're required, yes, to learn English. But other than that, another skill that they've learned is to learn English in different accents.
That's right.
Oh, different accents. Yeah.
So you should learn how to recognize Australia, New Zealander, and it's amazing because Filipinos adapt to it so well.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have different countries. We are, a lot of countries that are outsourcing here in the Philippines. We acquired British nationalities, American nationalities. That's why my sister actually speaks a British accent.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
her English is like more on British accent.
So, what are the effects of learning English as a medium here in the Philippines? How does this affect our culture, our economy? What do you guys think?
So there are a lot of advantages, right? The effects here in Philippines, especially with I think the trade and commerce. Yes. We all know that almost all Filipinos are really business-minded, right? So whatever business is this, small business, big businesses, most of these certain business owners aim to target international clients, right? So what they do, they tend to do whatever it takes in order to learn English, basically because they want to reach their target markets, right?
Exactly. For me, I only have basic English skills when I was a kid, when I was in high school, in college, up until I get to work with a BPO company. That was the time that I learned English different kind of words I've used. I've learned
Different
from that. Yeah,
accent.
it's really a big impact, a good impact
Yeah.
for me because I was able to communicate with other nationalities using English language, different nationalities. I get to tend to understand their culture, how they speak, how are they communicate with us, with Filipinos. Yeah, it's a really good impact.
Actually, to add to that, if you think about it on a positive note, what's amazing is that throughout the course of your life, you still got the opportunity to learn English, in which other countries don't really have that because they're not as well versed as we are in English. Like, let's say, maybe an example would be other East Asian countries where they primarily use their own language as a medium. So, learning English was never something that came easily. Unlike ours, you just had to enter the BPO and then you learned English,
Exactly.
and now you're using it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because in schools, right, they only teach us the basic English,
yeah,
right? But in when you're working in a BPO or in other businesses that is using English language, you tend to experience a lot of ways on how to communicate other people.
Yes, and you use it really every day. Every day you report to work, you have no choice but to use that language.
Yeah, most especially when you're talking to your boss, when you're sending email, when you're
Exactly.
answering a phone call, right?
even normal situations, if you think about it, no one really uses the TV anymore. We don't really watch normal TV anymore. We all go to the internet, we go to YouTube, and what else do they speak there but English? English everywhere. So, yeah.
So, compared to you, Mads, or maybe you as well, you've been with one of the top universities here, right? So, what are the other ways that you learn how to speak English, or ways on how to learn English?
What are the other ways? If I think about, well, actually, I learned English very early in my life because of my high school, where we were kind of told to use English all the time. We weren't really allowed to speak Filipino. We were an English-speaking campus, so that's why. At the same time, that gave opportunity for us to speak to the foreigners.
So, what are the consequences if you speak our our dialect? What are the consequences if you speak
Speaking
Tagalog?
A behavioral report.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
Well, we can actually practice that to different schools in the Philippines, right? So that we can learn more English on how to communicate.
Yeah. Although that's at the time seemed like something that you wouldn't understand. Why would you make us speak English all the time? Diba? Like, you would like question it. But growing up, going into work, I saw why
How important it is.
yeah, like why they were trying to impose that kind of discipline on us for English. Because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be able to make trades with foreigners, enhance my speech, speak to an audience.
We tend to realize the importance of speaking in English. How about you?
Well, on my part, I know basic English when I was in high school and college, but then I got used to speaking in English when I started working from one of the well-known hotels here in Philippines. So my previous job was with the Manila Hotel. So I was the front desk receptionist there, and being a front desk, one of my duties and responsibilities is, of course, assisting our guests. And
Frontliner.
yeah, frontliner. And then, of course, the Manila Hotel guests mostly are international guests. So they're foreigners who came from the US, came from Australia. So I had no choice but to learn how to speak English fluently, the grammars and everything for us to communicate well, you know.
Yeah. Well, for me, I don't have really experience in communicating other nationalities when I was in college in high school. But instead, I was able to utilize the platform, the YouTube,
Yes.
watching TV shows.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not really fond of watching before
Mm.
Tagalog movies, but instead I practice myself to watch English movies to practice myself as well, and I'm very grateful to that because I was able to adopt how they speak, how the accents, how to wave your accents.
Yes. Actually, that's a very, very good practice. Watching English movies, reading English books. They are really great teachers.
Yeah, exactly. Those are just based on my experience, and it's very helpful for me, and I'm very grateful to that as well.
Yeah, I really love watching movies too. Especially now, we all know that almost every one of us have this Netflix thing on our TV. Yeah, and almost everyone is also watching series type, movies type.
Actually, I think one thing that we don't realize that comes with learning English is that, in learning a language like that, we also become more tolerant. No, tolerance not the right word, but we actually become more adaptive of different cultures. So, in learning English or the American language, we know more about their cultures. So that makes us more open-minded. That makes us more globalized. We can socialize with anyone, communicate, all that stuff.
Have you been to other countries?
No,
Have you traveled a lot?
I'm hoping I could go out of that.
How about you?
Yeah, Japan, America, yeah, that kind of stuff.
How about you?
Too. Thailand, Malaysia, and of course we use English because that's
Yeah.
means of communication between different nationalities. But there are actually a lot of people who knows how to speak in English in other countries as well. But it's sad to say when you communicate to other countries and they speak their own language, and I was like,
Maybe because you look like them.
maybe I look like Thailand or something. So yeah, I was like, what?
So, in your personal opinions, how this English language helped you in your travel experiences?
You'll never get lost because
This is the number one. You'll never get lost. Because almost all the road signages, the road warnings, the rules and regulations, everywhere it's posted using the English language, right?
Before, I've read an article that's saying other nationalities don't use English on their signages. They use their own language. But when
Like
I
in
went,
Thailand.
yeah, in Thailand,
Right?
yeah, when
Yeah,
I was
I've
there,
heard
I was like, oh yeah, it's true that they're not using English on their signages.
so how'd you get around?
Well, I asked people for me not to get lost. I was like, where is the train station? People were like, train there. They just pointed at you go.
Still
very-
good
still
that,
English,
that
no?
yeah, that they could understand you speaking English. Yeah,
It's very helpful for me.
that's great.
Actually, right now, we are actually working in a Filipino-Japanese owned company, right?
Yeah.
So it's our means of communication with our Japanese counterparts. Yes,
And also inside our office, that's our mode of communication.
exactly,
Yeah, that goes to show how far English has taken us.
exactly. Communicating with our, affiliated companies as well, sending emails.
Clients, investors.
Okay, so as you guys can see, this is actually kind of proof that the English language can take us very far in our personal and business endeavors. So we would like to end our video here. Again, I am Matt, this is John, and this is Zara, and we are the GSR team. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell for more updates.